Hello, everyone.
Okay, shut up.
Kenzie's in the background just so everyone is aware.
Yeah, hi. I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy. Anywhere in the castle, quickly from Central Hall. Okay.
This is the one.
Did you ever finish A Letter to the Left? Beanie, what's this game? What's this game that you're playing?
It's a game where I go through life.
Oh, it looks like a little to the left. Ew.
What?
Chocolate and salted caramel empanada.
Planning.
I'm weird, but we do that. It's okay.
You cozily laid across your bed, lightly dozing in the morning sun.
Beanie, turn around. Your fucking cat should press seat. Good thing I'm going upstairs. I'm not closing it because she's sitting on it.
I think she looks a little insulted. Kenzie didn't go and try to take her seat back. You heard birds singing outside your window and the occasional rush of the wind. But what you were really listening for was your phone, and admitted now. Just a little while later, when your ringtone cut through the silent bubble of your daydreams, you eagerly sat up and plucked the phone off the blanket by your side. Hey, a forced deep voice on the other end answered you with an almost threatening edge to their tone. Beanie, do you know who this is? I am on my way to your house. You better be prepared. The situation normally would have been worrying if you hadn't been expecting to hear from your goofiest friend Terry, or if caller ID hadn't been invented yet. The two of you had important matters to discuss. That's why she was coming over today. Let's play along. I do, and I'm ready for your arrival. Good, very good. Now, this is a crucial matter of security. Is there anyone else in the room right now who might overhear this conversation? We're too close to the finish line to get our cover blown now. Glancing side to side, you observe your surroundings, then cup to hand close to the side of your mouth for added secrecy. No, Malone. My machine's still intact. I knew I could count on my trusty cohort. I'm equipped with the fortitude to guard any classified information. You can trust me completely. Terry momentarily lost her serious tone and laughed. You could hear the smile in her voice. That I am. Just to be certain, you went towards your bedroom door and poked your head out. You couldn't hear a peep from anywhere, so you plopped back onto your bed. Yep, I can verify that we're all clear. Anyone that's trying to learn our secrets have failed in their mission. Excellent, all according to plan. It wasn't hard to understand why Terry was so invested. Tomorrow was Miranda's 19th birthday, and the entire occasion needed to be perfect. Usually the Eckharts host a party for their kids, but this year was different. Miranda had no clue that you, Terry, and Cove were putting the whole shebang together. Pressure was getting intense. There was less than 24 hours before showtime. Miranda's friends and family were counting on the three of you. Terry dropped her game completely and got to the point. Are your moms gonna let you borrow the car? I don't know. Oof, that's not good. Train Terry's voice wiped your smile away. This wasn't originally a problem. He was supposed to be the driver, but his request for time off work only allowed tomorrow for the actual birthday. So you could rely on him to help decorate, but you and Terry were on your own today. Can't figure out how to get to an actual party supply store. Yeah. It seems we reached the first crisis point. That was fast. If there's a will, there's a way. That's the spirit. There must be something we can do. There has to be. We're gonna find something new, something fresh and cool, but what? Terry, I'm not sure what you're even envisioning. What's fresh and cool? I know, her party should have a theme. We can make all the food and decorations match. It'll look nice. Go had a theme party once. No way he did? It was for his big 10th birthday. Mr. Wine went all out with an under the sea theme. Fitting for Little Cove. Aww. He pasted blue paper bubbles and seaweed all over the walls and decorated tables with seashells. There was even a blue cake and blue jello. Mr. Holden did everything he could to make the room look like the bottom of the ocean. Why do you feel there's a mighty big buck incoming? Because there is. Oh no. Sitting on the edge of your bed, you let a weary sigh. The memory of the party is still a pretty vivid one. But it all went wrong because he invited Cove's whole class. All of them for Cove Holden? Why? He was hoping there would be lots of people there to celebrate his kid's special day, especially since Cove's last one had been super small. Dead Man Sunset Bird long when he turned 9. I get what he was thinking, but you know how Cove is, and he really didn't like most of his classmates then. So embarrassed by the whole situation, his dad never tried another theme party after that. That's tragic. I know. Poor Cove. Damn poor Mr. Holden. It's too bad he didn't stick with the people Cove was actually friends with. He probably would have loved it. Seriously, I bet if someone did an undersea party for him nowadays, he'd still love it. He absolutely would. Well, that's something to keep in mind for November, but we gotta forget about that for now. Miranda's birthday needs planning first, and we need a theme that she'll love. And then we need to get all that stuff for it and put it together in the party room. Mouth pressed into a hard line. Having a theme wasn't exactly progress. It was just another thing you needed to get done on top of everything else. Put that train of thought to yourself and chuckled. This event was going to be a Herculean feat, but you had faith in your friends, and together you'd find a way to make it all work somehow. Oh, don't forget, there's a small problem, however, even getting to the store. That's not negotiable. We have to go today. Seats be huge. Miranda's parties used to be big. She always had the best birthday, at least before. Yeah. There's no way you could forget Miranda's birthday bashes throughout the years. They're a highlight of your summers. They had no idea that Terry had been attending them for just as long. He never knew who she was until high school, and it was strange to think that you were so close to meeting so much earlier. And now you are all buddies. Fortunately, the past couple of years, things have been too difficult for an event on that scale. Everyone was older and 10 times busier during the summer. Terry groaned and understandably getting worked up over that struggle. Miranda doesn't even want any presents. All she asked for was for her friends and family to get together. Bernie had the perfect party room booked. That was supposed to be the hardest part. Everyone from Miranda's parents to you and your friends pulled your money together to rent out an actual event space instead of having it at her house or a public park. For all now, Miranda had been insisting that she didn't need anything, but none of you could pass up on an opportunity to show her how much you all appreciated her. Whoops. It is even because she used to have big parties, you know? Even if that ever happened before. This has to be good as it can be. Terry's mumbly grew increasingly more upset. She didn't hide any ounce of her worry. What if this is the last time we celebrated together? Terror crept down your spine. Terry's fear wasn't unfounded. Who knew what any of your lives would look like a year from now? Terry sniffled, her voice crackling with emotion. You couldn't do anything other than helplessly wait at the other end of the call. We need this to be our final big hurrah, just in case it is. It is a game where I speak until I can't anymore. That is how this goes. That's how I always explain this game. But about it too, yeah. So I just sit uncomfortably. This wasn't the first instant that thought had bothered you. But this was the first time you heard those words said out loud by her of all people. Also, you get to see me stumble over words. So, well, Terry sniffled and her tone quickly regained her usual fire. My next one's drive me over, so I have the whole car ride to think about our dilemma. Put your brain to work too, and we'll have this solved, no sweat. Actually, I already have a solution for that, and his name is Baxter. Oh, that's right. I can't believe I didn't remember he has a car. You're a genius, Beanie. Thank you very much. But do you think he would actually give us a lift? Yeah, he'd be thrilled. But you can see Terry. You could easily imagine the way she was nodding over this new possibility. That is the way. Alright, I gotta go. See you soon. The fate of Randy's birthday is up to you, me, and now our remaining hope, the B-Man. Bye. He hung up the phone and left it face down on the blanket. You flopped across the bed as your thoughts wandered. Whether it's great or terrible, there may never be another chance to celebrate Miranda, Cobb, and Terry by your side. You'd have to make the most of it. While you waited, you opened half a dozen tabs online on your phone and scrolled through various images of party decorations, kept perusing until a text notification popped up. I'm here. Doorbell rang as your feet hit the floor. You hurried downstairs and opened the front door. Hey, buddy. The party committee meeting is officially in session. Sliding aside, he gestured for Terry to come on in. She strolled inside and went towards the living room. When Terry pivoted on her heel and folded her arms, all business. Good question. I said every time I don't catch anything. Though I don't catch anything anymore because I just gave up. Thank you for the lurk, zombie. So I'm mostly Baxter about all this. We should ask him in person instead of a wall text. It'd be super rude to hit up someone you barely know to do you big favor, you know. Gotta be face to face that we beg for help. Fingers crossed he's home. We owe it to ourselves and Randy's birthday to try. Yeah, and if he's not there, we can still try something else as a start. There's no better time than the present. Let's go. Terry nodded towards the door she just came in through, and you both promptly left the house. She had made a beeline for Baxter's condo and rang the doorbell. Terry gave the front door and knocked for good measure. She wasn't taking a single risk that you might miss him by accident, as she declared. Terry crossed her fingers on both hands. The door opened a crack. Baxter curiously peeked out and then swung it open the rest of the way he smirked. Well, isn't this a familiar sight? Last when 3 of you came, it was from my number. I wonder what today's mission could be. You're here! Terry loosened her bent fingers and threw her hands victoriously into the air and mused. Baxter rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't realize I was missing, but yes, I'm here. Still looking ready to go out for the day. You turned your head away and tried to hide your smile. Of course, it was only now that he was making a move to go anywhere. It had to be at least noon before you do anything out of the house. Though, even if I wasn't home, you're welcome to call me. It's not my intent to be difficult to reach. Thanks, but we wouldn't want to interrupt you if you were busy. There's the thought. It wouldn't be an intrusion. It wouldn't be an interruption. It'd be an improvement. Oh my god. You know, I'd be thrilled to see you anytime. Baxter's words were meant for Terry too, but his gaze was set only on you. Terry's grin widened as her eyes crinkled. You knew her well enough to tell that she was psyching herself up. Her hands settled on her hips. Can you give us a ride someplace? Yes, easily. He answered without missing a beat. Terry whooped and Baxter brightened, pleased by her enthusiasm. May I ask where we're going? Baxter, my good friend, we're going to the Craft and Party Supply store. The party store was the occasion. The way he perked up with a genuine wonder, you could have sworn that his dark eyes were sparkling. Terry pressed her finger to her lips and winked. You can't tell him, but we're going to give Miranda the best birthday of her young life. That sweeter's having her birthday soon? Congratulations, yes. On behalf of Randy, I thank you. And on behalf of me, I thank you again for providing the transportation. We would have been stranded without you. Baxter graciously bowed his head. He picked up on the urgency and importance of what your team was asking. Now that I know what it's for, there's no way I could ever refuse. I'm honored to help. How are the preparations going? Tiny nervous laughter bubbled up in Terry's throat. She glanced at you, scratching the side of her cheek. Well, we got a room booked at the place big enough to hold the party. It's a grand private event like she's never had before. That's great to hear. Yeah, we just need all the food and party stuff to go in it. I take that you didn't have the caterers or decorators arranged then. We are the caterers and decorators, me being mostly since Cove couldn't come along today. Ah, I see. Baxter idly tapped his finger against his chin, his brow pinched pensively. Certainly this could be done, so there's no reason to worry. But when is the event? Tomorrow. Terry's simple, upbeat answer to our gasp from Baxter. Bewildered, he slid his lap backwards and grasped the fabric across his chest. That... This was easily the most dramatic reaction you'd ever witnessed from him. There's nothing you could do to stop the snort and laugh that followed. Covering your mouth, you tried twisting away from your friends, but the battle was lost. Sebastian was too funny. He was too aghast to even notice. Tomorrow. It's tomorrow and you only have a venue and 2 people? Nothing else? It's gonna be a grand affair? Baxter's mouth snapped shut following that outburst. Neither you nor Terry uttered a single word in response. Two of you shared a quick glance. Baxter took a deep, steadying breath through his nose. He slowly smoothed out the wrinkles on his shirt and exhaled. Once he was better composed, Baxter regained his usual confident air. He attempted to lightly chuckle, but you still caught the strain in his tone. You may have more problems than the lack of a vehicle, I'm afraid. Terry fidgeted her fingers out of embarrassment, but she stood strong and explained her thought process. I couldn't get the goods earlier, or Randy would have figured out what I was doing instantly. I couldn't risk it. And even if I managed the impossible, she's always at my house. Not having anything to sniff out was the best way to keep everything a secret. I could have hidden the decorations at my house, you know. Yeah, maybe, but it's too late for what-ifs now. As long as we stay focused, it can happen. We just gotta buy the decorations today, make the snacks, and then the dessert. Then we set it all up tomorrow before things kick off at noon. No problem. Right, how hard could it be, Baxter? You turned home with hopeful optimism. Baxter nervously tugged at the collar of his shirt. Truthfully, I hope it's not too difficult. You must work within the circumstances you have. Well, since I've attended a numerous of functions, I'd be delighted to offer advice and assistance. Today and tomorrow, I could definitely do more than simply carting you to the store. No way, you're hired. Terry cheered this upswing of good luck. Baxter's eyebrows arched quizzically, and then you could see his growing amusement stirring. Hired? Are you offering to pay me? Nah, but you can join a secret party planning team. That's priceless. I'll take it. Sounds even happier than his teasing ploy for money. There really was no payment that could have made it more worth the while. Baxter laughed and gestured toward the street. Let's get the details on the way. I imagine the store you have in mind isn't in town. Harry hopped towards the street, partially twisted her heels. She tilted her head and smirked. Nothing's in this little beach town. Sands and Packets, Baxter stepped ahead, passing you to join Terry on the road. He had a few words as he crossed your path. I would have to disagree with that. Her skin grew warmer just from that slight brush with Baxter. My car is parked a short walk that way. All right, team, here we go. Baxter slipped inside the condo to grab his keys. You and Terry loitered in the empty street while you waited. We totally hit the jackpot. Did you see his face when you realized this was about a party? He probably has loads of ideas. I know he was on board the second he heard what we're doing. Things are looking up. Baxter didn't take too long to return and lock up. You followed him to his car with a pep in your step, and Terry slapped her palm to the front passenger side door. Dibs on shotgun. Sadness. You're happy to chill in the back seat. More legroom for me? Terry left and swung the door open. Baxter put his elbow on the roof of the car and leaned his cheek against the palm of his hand. Shaking your head, you got into the car. Terry glanced at Baxter across the small space between them and winked. It'll be like you're chauffeuring Beanie because she's a VIP. Ah, yes. Where can we drive you today, Miss Lass? Baxter buckled his seatbelt, then immediately began searching for nearby craft and party supply stores via GPS. Do you have a particular store in mind? Oh, that one. She pointed at the lower half of the screen, and Baxter really set her pick as the destination. That's all. The rest of you got comfortable and buckled in for the ride. Despite being the new guy in the area, Baxter comfortably drove as if he'd been traveling these roads his whole life. He followed the directions laid out for him, but he also kept a part of himself focused on the task at hand. Baxter kept the conversation focused on how he could better help you and Terry with the party. He didn't hesitate to be a key member of this operation. During your working pro bono, I appreciate that you're taking party planning seriously. Baxter laughed deeply, his grip tightened on the steering wheel. Is it a crime to take pride in my abilities? Absolutely not. Keep it up. So, do we have an idea of what we're looking for? It's gonna have a theme. The party can't just be a generic birthday bash. We're going for something here. Excellent. Having a specific design core makes it all easier. Baxter answered with a pleasant tone and peeked at the GPS. He turned the car at the intersection. And the theme is? Oh, we don't know. Ah. Somehow his smile remained perfectly in place. You imagine that he fully expected the lack of preparation at this point. Well, there are many concepts one can go with. For example, it's summertime and a classy style would be nautical, or perhaps desert chic for California. We want to take our location into account. Or what about this? While summer is scorching on the outside, the guests are treated to a wonderland inside. The kind of unexpected, intentionally out of season aesthetic can be quite fun. Feeling deeply, Terry leaned aside her head against the glass, stared out the window, holding her Baxter's suggestion, showing her front teeth into her bottom lip. None of these are those of price. We can continue brainstorming. I don't know if any of those are right for Miranda. She doesn't care about what's trendy or seasonal or what might impress her guest. That's a good point. This isn't some party, it's Miranda's party. Personally, I met the woman this whole affair is for once. There's not much I can glean from that. I apologize. That put him in quite a disadvantage, despite his sincere intent to help. Brandon, he felt somewhat similar. Emily knew Miranda better than Terry, and that meant she should have the final say on the big decisions. Would you rather stop proposing ideas? I'm sure whatever you think she'll enjoy the most will be wonderful. No, I need so much help. I don't even know what party themes are. How am I going to pick one? Okay, then should I keep throwing out ideas until something sounds good to your ears? Yes, please. There's got to be a theme that's perfect for it. I'll know it when I hear it. Very well. You could practically hear the gears moving in Baxter's brain. His expression scrunched up, and it was clear that he was silently compiling a list. Ad's going to start in a minute. Oh, wait. What can you tell me about the venue? The colors, the size, the styles? We can use that as a base to work off. It would be pointless to fall in love with the concept and then realize it would clash with the room. Smart, I found the perfect place. It's pretty big. Imagine a space that's larger than the average living room. It's like 3 living rooms. She got lots of family and friends coming, so we need it. There's also a lit-up dance floor in the center, too. A dance floor? His eyes sparkled with excitement. You imagine the dance floor would be just as bright tomorrow. Will the event have any slow dancing? Who slow dances a birthday party is not a problem. Pat's shoulders slumped in response while Terry's surprised laugh morphed into a small coughing fit. He sighed deeply. That's true. If only someone was getting married instead. There's always formal dancing at weddings. It's a shame that, as an adult, only a occasion dance with a partner. Besides, that practicing tradition is such an uncommon event. But of course, this is outside of having your own actual partner, who you can go dancing with whenever you like. Outside of, was that a hint? The two of you were dating. Did he want to go dancing with you? Maybe there wasn't any intent behind this general statement. I promise to dance with you somehow. Held your eye in the mirror for another second. I would enjoy that immensely. It was the least you could do for him after you willingly signed up to help you out. Never mind sharing a dance with Baxter is going to be a special treat. He had zero intent to miss that. But Baxter shook his head, riding himself to his indulgent thoughts. His attention flickered to the map. Regardless, it wouldn't matter either way in this case. I apologize for getting off track. How else would you describe the venue? It's shiny and pretty and pink. That does give a strong picture of what the presentation could be. It's limiting but in a helpful way. How so? The most obvious direction would be to make the entire theme simply pink. Terry snorted and tried to express her giggles, but she was instantly unsuccessful. Rain does like the color, but she doesn't feel the same way about it as you do with black and white. Now it's Baxter's turn to chuckle. That's fair, so moving on, we have pretty and sparkly. What else? Is Miranda a fan of glitz and glamour? No, well, basically no. Terry's brow furrowed and she slowly deflated in her seat. Rennie won't like trying to be glamorous, that's not how she is, and she wouldn't know how to act if that's what the theme was. So then, what about a fox highlight theme? And what would that be? Sat forward, wondering what either of those two words were supposed to mean in terms of decorating a party. Let me think of the best way to articulate the premise. Imagine plastic champagne glasses filled with sparkling cider, and dainty desserts coated in shimmering dust so they shine. Chocolate fountain with fresh strawberries to dip and colored lights, perhaps even feather bows for the guests to wear. Just that, nothing is truly extravagant. It's tongue-in-cheek, but with all the celebrity fun of acting like a star on your special day. Not being that kind of person would be part of the point. Cute and silly, basically. Terry sprang up in her seat, vibrating with excitement. She turned to you, but she still rendered speechless from Baxter's proposition. Did I strike a chord? Ah, that would be so fun. Rainey loves to let loose and not be so serious, but she's definitely a star. Since though we have a theme then. Yeah, it's all gotta come together now. And we accomplished it without having to leave the car. Minnie's gonna be blown away. She's lucky to have friends who really care about her happiness. No matter what, tomorrow will be a special day. We already owe a lot of that to you. Yeah, I can't wait to see her reaction. The rest of the drive cut the secret party planning ball rolling, and the three of you took turns proposing suggestions for what you needed to track down at the store. When you arrived, the three of you entered the store fully focused on the mission. They felt underprepared, standing at the entrance and scanning the cluttered store in front of you. Give me one moment. Holy crap. Okay. Shelves were piled with miscellaneous goods, and there was a strong smell wafting in the air. It was like a mix of paint and a scented something. Maybe a pine cone? Curling your fingers into fists, you steeled yourself for the task. It was going to be way too easy to get lost with the endless sea of bits and bobs calling out to you. The Sierra party planning team couldn't fail now. Come on, there's no time to waste. Jerry took the lead, claiming a shopping cart and picking a direction. She bucked on ahead while you followed at Baxter's pace. It wasn't long before she was coming through the piles of knickknacks. Her fiery determination to make this birthday the best it could be was admirable. The results match it. The group traveled down several aisles, picking up variety of supplies that had been decided on during the drive. Red shaped cups, plastic forks and spoons that resembled proper silverware, and the rest of your basics. Picked out some shiny tablecloths to replace the old checkered ones, and Jerry found a few platters to serve the desserts on. Next on the agenda was to locate what you needed to prepare the desserts. But before any of you could say that, Jerry stopped in her tracks and pointed. Oh, look! Grinning ahead, you scanned the area until you landed on what she was seeing. There in the distance were dozens of other bows hanging over a row of long hooks. They were fluffy and came in several bright, saturated colors. Grinning wide, Terry raced to the display, flung a ton of them into the cart. It was anyone's guess on how many would be needed for tomorrow. Since there were only a couple of dollars each, Terry was sticking with the old tried and true method of better safe than sorry. Eventually, Lydia uncovered a single pure white boa. You instantly knew you needed the boa. It was perfect for Baxter. You grabbed it, mindful not to crush the delicate feathers. They were soft against your skin while you examined them for any hidden splotches of color. Lucky, the feathers were immaculate, so you added the boa to the growing pile in the cart. It soon became lost in the sea of rainbow. Once Terry was satisfied, she stared at the cart. Everything that she'd selected before was buried under a pile of bows, and there was a lot more shopping to do. Maybe we should get a second cart. I couldn't agree more. You two can go to the cake decorating aisle, and I'll meet you there. Thanks, P-Man. Baxter hurried to the end of the aisle and paused there. Glancing back, Terry sent him off with a playful salute, and he answered with a wave. Don't get lost, we'll miss you. I'll try my best. After that, you and Terry ended up getting a bit turned around, but at long last you found the aisle with the cake decoration supplies. Terry drove the cart back and forth, anxiously scanning the selection. It's like, what desserts are we gonna have? There should be a cake, but they can't be all right. What about cupcakes? Randy loves cupcakes. She does. We gotta make a whole bunch now. Yeah. Terry mumbled contemplatively to herself, leaning against the carriage. Not once, then again. I'll try it. No, I must do it. Hold on. When are you gonna have time to make 2 desserts? Tonight after all the shopping, or tomorrow when the entire room needs to be decorated? I can squeeze it in somewhere? I don't think so. You never get done. You made the cake, and I'll take care of the cupcakes. Really? Thanks, buddy. Terry dabbed an invisible tear from her eye and then placed a hand across her heart. No one could ask for a more loyal cohort. Can't let you get all the glory. Terry crossed her arms, pretending to be annoyed. Her gaze narrowed suspiciously. Ah, so that's it. You're trying to steal my crown as #1, Miranda enthusiastic. Maybe. Alright, so I've been thinking about making a confetti cake with vanilla frosting. Could you make chocolate cupcakes with cheesecake frosting? That'll make them all look pretty too. I got it. Yeah, thumbs up, and Terry excited bumped her fist. This is gonna be a great party. With renewed enthusiasm, Terry picked out a couple of containers of gold and silver shimmer dust for the treats, and a packet of edible juice and decorative stars. Terry should have snagged a big 19-shaped candle to go on top of the cake. Her arms were rapidly getting full and just in time. There you are, I've been searching for you two. He pulled the new card over, but it wasn't empty. Sitting comfortably inside was a box of chocolate fountain, penguin skewers, and a big bag of melting chocolate wafers to be used with it. Ooh. Terry leaned into the card and examined the advertised features printed on the box. Some of the packets she was holding onto fell from her grasp and tumbled in with a clang. This is a good brand. It's not too loud. The music should cover up the noise it does make, though. Works for me. Terry released the remaining things she was carrying into the carriage. They remained onto the unsuspecting fountain. Place what you had inside next. Baxter studied everything you picked out while he was gone. You have excellent taste. Those decorations are fantastic. Thanks. My cupcakes are going to be almost too nice to eat. A feast for those eyes, then. Yeah, we got this in the bag. As you pass through more parts of the story, the three of you grabbed a few other last-minute odds and ends. So along the way, Terry found a selection that said birthday girl. She eagerly snatched it up and threw it across the pile of feather boas, finding out some oversized sunglasses next. Ah, good catch. Those totally fit the vibe. Nodding, you toss a handful into the cart. From there, your team circled the premises for a little while before deciding to check out and get your haul home. The furniture area you discovered wasn't built anything like the one at the supermarket. There was a long conveyor belt to put stuff on, only a short counter space. Sorry, this will be one moment. Flash cashier and project smile, and you got to work piling up the dozen of party supplies from 2 full carts. That one piece was particularly pricey, but the amount of stuff he gathered, the total skyrocketing. Even the contributions from friends and family as a combination gift, it was going to be a close call. Terry's lip twitched as she tried not to frown. The display price grew higher, and there were still a mountain of things on the counter. Back stared Terry, and his brow furrowed. Then he reached over and plucked away the chocolate round box of skewers and packet of chocolate. No, I want that. Don't worry about it. I'm going to buy this part myself. But it's not necessarily the supply that you're anticipating to buy. And it was my priority on top of everything. I'll cover it, my treat, or rather my gift for Miranda's birthday. I can't say no to that. Thank you so much. He gave her a pleased nod and went to the end of the line, carrying the box under his arm. Max managed to get through the line, stopped at a different register, and completed his purchase well before you and Terry were through. He waited awkwardly off to the side of the checkout area with his bag. After the poor cashier dug themselves out of the pile of sparkly and feathered goods, caught up with them with the 2 carts nearly packed with bags. As you were leaving, a voice over the announcement announced that the store would be open for only another 30 minutes. Terry glanced at the overall speaker in shock. Well, I knew we were here a while, but not that long. I'd say this was a successful trip. This was a massive success. Yeah, it was worth it. Your party planning committee exit the store and made your way through the parking lot. Together you had to fill the trunk and a part of the back seat. We'll take the carts back. Yeah, we got it. I'll stay put here then. Back to lean against the car door as you rolled away. The sky was dark and the night air felt invigorating after being in the stuffy, overly scented store. There's an added pep in your step now that you weren't weighed down by party supplies. Terry touched a mischievous grin and then raced past you across the pavement. Push the car faster before jumping on the back and right again. Leaning forward, you made sure to keep yourself balanced on the empty cart. Your smile grew, feeling a cool breeze against your skin. Then you returned to the car together. Max stood up and smoothed his shirt before opening his door. Welcome back. Squeezed into the car and let your eyes feast on the fruits of the afternoon's labor. Terry hopped into the front again. Terry fished her phone out and messaged her parents that she was ready for them to pick her up. She explained that if they left now, then her mom and dad would be at your house by the time the 3 of you returned. After that, you simply needed to enjoy a comfy, quiet ride to the neighborhood. Online shopping ended up being more exhausting than any of you anticipated. After a brief and uneventful drive through the sleepy streets, you arrived home to find a van parked outside. As you approached, you recognized the shade of green paint and that characteristic dent in the rear fender. Terry leaned out the window and hollered cheerily. All right, you made it. Away from the driver's side window was Terry's parents. Come to pick her up as planned. This is great. We can take most of the stuff in the van. Terry jerked a thumb towards the piles of party paraphernalia. Perched precariously in the back of the car. Figured I could stay there until tomorrow. My folks said we could borrow the van to take everything to the party venue anyway. It's like we planned it for something. Baxter silently nodded, pulling alongside Terry's parents. Well, since we're transferring the supplies from one vehicle to another, we might as well minimize the distance. Terry, would you mind? Just toward the rear of the van, Terry nodded and hopped out to let her mom know it was safe to pop the trunk. When he left your seat, Baxter opened up his own car, then gave Terry's mom and dad a friendly wave. Let's begin the daunting task of unloading. Terry's parents noticed how much stuff you've ended up bringing back, and soon they were also lending a hand. With all 5 of you, the seemingly endless stack of party goods was defeated in a few short minutes. I think that's the last of it. My hands truly do make light work. Many hands. You let out a sigh of relief, stretching your arms. They got sore from all the heavy lifting in spite of the help. Bow down for the awesome and terrible power of teamwork. Terry wasn't even remotely out of breath. She could do the whole thing over again without breaking a sweat. Counted yourself lucky she didn't threaten to do just that. Sense of humor will be wild sometimes. Actually, against the closed rear door of the van, casually addressing Terry in her pants. Are you fine? People headed home now? It's getting late. Trail of scented noises follow. Yep, we got everything for tomorrow. Oh, hold on a sec. She marched over to where you stood and planted her feet on the sidewalk with the tent. She stood to attention as though suddenly in the middle of a military parade. You could see she had an object clutched in her right hand, though it was difficult to make out in the dark. She must have taken out one of the shopping bags from earlier. As I get home, the next stage of mission commences. Don't worry about me, though. It'll be, here it comes, a piece of cake. He lifted one of your hands and dropped the held item into it. 3 shimmering cylinders of confectionery glitter. Of course, there's still work to be done tonight, baking. You're raring to go. You clutch the little plastic tubes of glitter tightly, giving Terry an enthusiastic mock salute. Aye, aye, Captain. Good luck, and see you tomorrow. I'll swing by to pick you guys up at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, okay? Party starts at noon, and we're gonna need all the time we can get. We skipped in a jump. Terry was already clambering into her parents' van. She waved enthusiastically as the sliding door closed. After retreating to a safe distance, he and Baxter watched the van pull up and head up the street. Surprising could move anymore with all that extra weight. The glow of the headlights grew distant and then faded into the night, like a late summer dream. Suddenly, you thought again about how fragile and fleeting your time in Sunset Bird was. The last season your friends would vanish, never to return. You had to make this party a success. You knew it in your bones. For Miranda, for Terry, for Cove too, and for everyone else in attendance, for yourself. This party would be a celebration of Miranda, yes, but it would also be a celebration of your friendship and of each other. For instant clarity, before all things became uncertain, you had to make it count. All was quiet for a pause, then Baxter spoke. I understand that there's one more job left to be taken care of then? You know, down at the clear containers you were still clutching in your hands. Yep, still gotta take care of some stuff. I'll get some sleep eventually. But I cannot say I'm surprised you aren't finished. It's a tall order, arranging an event at a short notice. Nothing criticizing your attempt in the slightest. It's highly admirable to see the commitment. From being off topic, what's next on the agenda? Let's later back to the situation with party food. You volunteered to make chocolate cupcakes with cream cheese frosting while Terry would do the real birthday cake. A relative simple order, at least. No last-minute meringues for Miranda. She'd survived the disappointment. The edible fox metallic glitter that Terry handed you was to be the final layer of decoration. Touch of pizzazz, though, transformed the basic cupcakes into something more to theme. Baxter touched a hand to his mouth and nodded in agreement as he explained. Of course, the pleasing appearance is hardly the most critical factor. Poorly baked dessert would still taste bad, no matter how it looked, but glitter can help elevate a thing beyond itself. Especially it's the icing on the cake. Baxter coughed quietly into his fist as though to muffle a laugh. Jay had been rubbing off on him, clearly. Regardless, this sounds to be a marvelous idea, though slightly less marvelous given how tight the schedule is. It's getting late. There's no denying that. His thoughtful expression was obscured by the darkness around the both of you. Here's what I suggest. Why don't you come over to my house to do it? I can give you a hand with preparations if you think I'll be at any ease. For how often and how rarely Baxter was offered his service, you shouldn't have been taken aback by this latest gesture, and yet you still finished the fluttering line. Baxter clearly anticipated your reaction, cutting off the question before you could ask it. Made a gesture as if he was looking at his wrist watch. Though, of course, he didn't wear one. It's nearly 10 p.m. Your family won't exactly thank you for baking this late at night. The noise is one thing, the smell will be another matter. Besides, your fridge may not have enough free space. Leaving the cakes out all night might spoil them. The fridge in my condo is, well, there's plenty of room. Baxter's dictation. God damn it, I can't speak anymore. Okay. I gain a faint quavering edge, like he was skirting around a nervous giggle. It's empty, in fact, a conveniently empty fridge and a conveniently empty house. Perfect, wouldn't you say? When you put in those terms, it made total sense. Baxter sure did have a lot of foresight when it came to these things. It's impressive he always thought that far ahead. You agreed it was an opportune set of circumstances, but as he talked about how empty his temporary home was, struck you that Baxter sounded a little sad. It must be quiet all alone in the house. Maybe that was why he was always so willing to come spend time with you or the other people he knew around here. Alright, so long as you promise not to take a bite of any of the cupcakes before tomorrow. I wouldn't dream of it. Scout's honor. Couldn't think of anyone less likely to have been a Boy Scout than Baxter. Back to reason that Scout's honor was a universal sort of concept like the 5-second rule. Then you're in. Baxter clapped his hands together. He fully committed himself to the cause and was ready to put a plan in motion. Excellent. Let's get cooking, shall we? I'd like to retrieve ingredients from your house since I don't have anything myself. The kitchen is fully outfitted, however, so you needn't bring any equipment. Oh my god. If you want to take care of things, shiz toy, I can begin prepping the utensils and such. I'll leave the front door unlocked, so feel free to let yourself in when you're ready. Sure thing. And so you briefly split up. Baxter walked briskly to his rented condo while you made your way speedily home. The night was still young and sort of. So were you. What was a little harmless sleep deprivation between friends? What kind of person even get tired at 10 p.m. anyways? Not you, that was for sure. He came in, he spotted your mom sitting around the living room. They were huddled up on one of the couches, luxuriating one another's company after a day's work. Ma's head rested on her wife's shoulder while Mom brushed fingers lightly through her hair. They would have been a famous sculpture or a painting sitting there. It's hard to witness your parents like that sometimes, not because it was embarrassing, although some people might have seen it that way. Your moms were a thing of tremendous gravity in your life. You were reflecting they had fed and clothed and cleaned up after and loved for years and years, and soon you'll be taking flight. You'll be gone. Maybe that was why you found yourself glancing down at the hardwood floor at the sight of your mom's. Not taken at 10 p.m., to be honest. Sound front door alerted them both to your presence. The two halves of that piece of art moved in alignment and turned. Welcome back, sweetie. Nice you dropped by, Beanie. Will you be staying with us long? Whoops. Classic mom joke. You bow out the whole Terry organizing a last-minute party for Andy. Don't tell anyone, been out all day. By the way, I need to make cupcakes tonight situation. Not to mention, I'm going over to Baxter's house. Do we have any ingredients I could use situation? There's a whole lot of situations to cover. Oh, that's incredibly wonderful, Beanie. I'm sure Miranda will be delighted. You're all working so hard. Being late, though, and you've been going for most of the day. Mom was eyeing the wall clock and gave you a playful pout. Are you sure you don't want to call in and let your mom and me handle the baking? Shake your head, declined the offer. Miranda was your friend, and you'd given Terry your word that you'd take care of it. Besides, it wasn't as if your moms hadn't also worked today. Mom's tiny frown deepened. So disappointed not to be allowed to baby you. It was all in good humor. Alright, we won't push it. So as long as you're sure Baxter's okay with you wreaking havoc with his immaculate kitchen. Mulatto unbridled snort. He's a teenager living on his own, Pam. How immaculate could that kitchen be? Your mom to defend Baxter and all other teenagers, realizing that at Harley County, the only reason he had a clean kitchen was that he never used it in the first place. If his tone earlier was anything to go by, he'd probably even thank you for making a mess. Might brighten up the place. You didn't say any of this to your moms, though. You made it clear to them that Baxter had assured you that was A-okay. It was his idea to begin with, after all. You've been insistent on helping, like certain other people you could mention. This mollified your parents, though they teased they were acting entirely out of consideration for a temporary neighbor. Too bad Baxter Ward had out-considered them already. Understand you'll handle it like the grown-ups you are. At least let us help you gather the ingredients together before you go. Pam, do you think you can get that? Already on it. Mom headed towards the kitchen and began pulling things out of the cupboards. Mama actually has some leftover boxes of chocolate cake mix from, I forget what it was for now. But you're welcome to take it all, honey. That should save you some time. The frosting will have to be made fresh, but I always find that's the easiest part. Oh, and we also have Mom's eye shot out from behind the fridge door, clutching a large tub of cream cheese. Placed it next to a row of bright red boxes of cake mix and half a dozen eggs on the counter. You should take some extra muffin tins, too, just in case. If Baxter's oven is big enough, you can bake multiple batches at once, instead of doing it in stages. May not need it, but being prepared never hurts anybody. Your mom paused, a thoughtful look on her face. Unless you're making a plan to, say, assassinate someone, then your preparation will be designed to Pamela the muffin tins. Right, muffin tins. We have tea, you can take along. Cupcake liners, too. Well, they were meant to only help. Your mom did all the work of getting the supplies. And soon you found yourself ready to head over to Baxter's condo. Kissed you one on either cheek and shooed you enthusiastically out the door. You hurried across the street, lugging your cargo in two large grocery store branded totes. Once up the front steps in Baxter's house, you gently rearranged things so you were able to grab the door now. As promised, Baxter left it unlocked. A panel light spread over your feet. Settle yourself in preparation for the last stretch of the to fucking hiccup or burp, one of the two. interminable day. I know I said it wrong, so I'm pretty sure of that. Grip the bag handles tighter and stepped inside. Then briskly through the entryway, you recall that Baxter's condo had a kitchen directly opposite the main living room. Made your way straight there. Baxter was waiting for you beside the fridge and swiveled around when he heard you enter. I hear, excellent. Welcome, welcome. Were you able to find everything we need from your house? Many places might be closed this late, but I'm not opposed to a trip to the grocery store if necessary. You smoothly hauled the 2 large bags of stuff up onto the kitchen counter, but be careful not to squash the eggs and wipe your brows in an exaggerated fashion. Very good. I managed to lug everything over here. Both made a start on unpacking the bags of ingredients. Before you could get far, there was a sudden exclamation. Baxter, in your hands are 2 boxes of cake mixtures. Oh, hallelujah, I was hoping you'd bring something similar. Being that generally glad, you couldn't help but let your eyes widen in surprise. You mean to tell me that Baxter was somehow not a master baker in disguise? I thought you could do everything. Baxter sheepishly raked a hand through his iconically colored hair. Practically speaking, I actually haven't the faintest idea what kind of baking I'm capable of. The probability suggests that it's unlikely to be much. To tell you the truth, I've never baked before in my life, whether using a pre-prepared mix or not. I only imagine that this way would be easier, potentially. It's okay, I'm pretty good at it myself. And decorating is cinched too. Pastor gave a newly pleased reappraisal with no small amount of relief mixed in. He popped a comical little bow. In that case, I'll place myself entirely at your disposal, Beanie. It's my honor to be your humble assistant for this evening. Shouldn't that be my beautiful assistant? So he's right, but given that I'm relying on your expertise, it seemed impolite to blow my own trumpet. Gladly take the compliment, though. Well done with that disclaimer out the way. Let's get baking, shall we? Finish unpacking the remaining ingredients, lining them all up. Carefully on the countertop, Baxter checked the second bag and did the same. That reminds me, I might have been a bit hyperbolic when talking about how burned my fridge was earlier. It's not as if the thing's completely empty. At the time, I wanted to assure you that it wouldn't be any trouble for you to come and make use of it. But definitely has plenty of room. But I'm not completely incapable of providing a basic level of hospitality. If you're ever hungry or thirsty, let me know. This do came a relief to you, probably not for the reason that Baxter was expecting. Sure, it was great you wouldn't starve while you were here. But mostly you were glad to hear that Baxter wasn't living on his own with nothing to eat in the house. That mental image had been so lonely. Thank Baxter for the offer, though you weren't in the mood for anything at present. At the point in the conversation, Baxter rummaged around the cupboard and added a 3rd muffin tray to the 2 of yours. Kitchen happened to be supplied with one of these already, but thank you for bringing the spares in case of emergency. As often happened in your life, you find yourself offering a prayer thanks to your moms for reminding you of the blindingly obvious. Alright about that. No, we'll never get done if we only bake 1 tray at a time. Use all the trays, the batch will be done faster. The oven should be big enough. Bar's eyes lifted a fraction in surprise. That's true, there should be enough space. The pans aren't terribly large, I'll double check. Picked up one of the trays, walked over to the oven and opened it up. Put it inside, took it back out, and then tried putting it again long ways. Then he nodded, apparently satisfied. Yes, that'll do, especially if we use more than 1 shelf. 3 dozen cupcakes at once. We could almost start a bakery. He was more than a little tickled by the idea, so he refrained from pointing out that he first had to know a bit more about baking to actually run one. Another matter squared away. Where shall we begin? Thusing another word, he tore into the cake mix. We'll start with the batter, which is the mix plus water, oil, and eggs. We don't really use milk, but the mixture we're using has powdered milk in it to begin with, so water is good. I see. We also need to set the oven to preheat to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Excellent. That's relatively straightforward. The pair of you promptly made a start. Measuring out the ingredients into a mixing bowl didn't present any real challenge. Baxter insisted on cracking the eggs. Even I know how to do that much. With everything together in one bowl, you started to stir it together using a wooden spoon. While you were mixing the batter, Baxter diligently placed 36 miniature paper cupcake liners into the tins. Once he was finished, he came and peered over your shoulder into the bowl. Is it ready? You gave a firm nod. He had the batter at a good even consistency, moderatively thick, while still being runny enough to pour. How are we meant to get it into the trays? A spoon, perhaps? A certain spoon will do fine, although a rubber spatula would come in handy for getting the last bits of batter out of the bowl. Pick them both out of the utensil drawer. Pushing out the batter into the cupcake tins was where things started to get more involved. Took care of filling the 2 tins he brought from home, while Baxter made the effort on his own tin by himself. Managed to get the batter sitting evenly in all the cases without spilling. Baxter made it in fare so well. However, his Baxter portions were uneven, and some of the mixture dribbled off the spoon onto the tray, which had to be wiped down. Mumbled a quiet apology, clearly embarrassed, but she squashed it with an encouraging grin. Firm his duty, and you are grateful for the help. Baxter cautiously lifted the tray one at a time into the hot oven, placing 2 on the top shelf, sliding the last one in underneath. Then he checked the instructions again, set a timer on his phone. There was enough cake batter left to fill another 2 trays at a rough estimate, but 3 in the oven were all he had, so he covered the bowl with a shrink wrap and put it in the fridge. By this point, it was nearly 11 o'clock, but Baxter had remained perky and chipper as the night wore on. It didn't come as a surprise by this point, since you know full well he was a proven night owl. When the cakes were in the oven, he had to take care of the frosting next. He could remember a recipe without any trouble. I was right, it was one of the easier parts of making a cake, all told. He recited the necessary ingredients aloud. As he went down the list, Baxter foraged around on the countertop, and the named items to which he added to a fresh mixing bowl. Then he dove under the counter for a moment and popped back up, sporting a handheld electric whisk. He inserted the 2 metal beaters into the mixture and switched to a low setting. Then he turned the whisk on. Oh my god, I keep saying whisker. Once the mixture was settled, he gradually upped the speed. Once again, Baxter was rather awestruck by the ease which you handled the process, giving the electric whisk a nervous side eye ever since it was brought out. If I'd been given charge of that device, a dusting of sugar would have been the least of our concern. We might have spent the entire night scraping cream cheese off the walls. Jacqueline continued to smooth out the spread. While you doted in the bowl, Baxter peered over you with interest, leaning close in order to get a better look. It was closer than might be considered strictly polite, and there was something about the proximity of his body that made it harder than usual to concentrate on the task at hand. He certainly didn't mind, per se, but still, you were operating dangerous equipment here. You could easily pick out the smell of his aftershave you swallowed. Somebody included that he was guarding you overmuch, so he took a few small steps to a safer distance. He sort of lounged against the far counter, trying to make it appear as though he always intended to do so. Baxter worked quite hard behind the scenes to give off the impression that everything he did was totally effortlessly. Maybe it came from being a dancer. Part of these things during the tedious mixing process, it was so cute. Of course, you already knew Baxter was pretty adorable. It wasn't too long before you had the frosting looking halfway decent. Turned the whisk off. Baxter took that as his cue to come back over, smiling pleasantly. Thanks for taking care of that, Bean. Come on, it was a team effort. Welcome. There was nothing. I ate frosting for breakfast. Yeah, why not? That one. Breakfast was not just a way to start the day, Hurley. Haute cuisine, but still. No, you know what? It wasn't a big deal, that's all. I didn't know. Oh. I'd originally planned to put the frosting in the fridge while we wait for the cakes to finish. But then make it too difficult to spread it later on. What do you think? You've been about to say the same thing, so you merely nodded in approval. It's nice to see that he was beginning to figure things out. At this point, you were inclined to relax a bit. Even with the frosting taken care of and the comforting smell of baking in the air, Max was in the mood to keep himself busy. Back to your success with the cakes, however relative that success might be, and put him in an industrious fame of mine. You watch as he cheerfully donned a pair of rubber gloves, black, of course, began to fill the sink with water in order to wash the bowls and other baking equipment. While the faucet was running, he also took out some cloths and surface cleaner with the intent of wiping down the countertops wherever there were traces of cake mix, powder, and batter. Elected to help out. Gave you a silent smile of gratitude as he picked up one of the rags and the bottle cleaner. He didn't change words. There was no need. Suddenly there was a bright tinkling sound. It told you out of whatever you've been having. Baxter's hand went to his back pocket. The timer on his phone had run out. The cakes are done. He was gently excited by the prospect, easily driving at his screen, turned off the alarm, then grabbing a nearby pair of oven mitts with pictures of cats on. They must belong to the owner of the condo, rather than Baxter himself, since the fabric was a deep red color. The cats were all black and white, though. You supposed that counted. Carefully, cautiously, he eased the 3 baking pans out of the oven, placed them one by one onto the granite counter. He even recalled which had gone in first, second, and third, moved them in proper order. The cakes looked good. They'd risen uniformly, and the color was a nice, rich chocolate brown. They hadn't dried out either. You could see a faint, moist sheen on the surface. He turned up as he admired your handiwork. Do you have anything to go underneath the pans to protect the counter, I mean? Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think there's anything here. Though it should be fine, hopefully. The stone is real, not a veneer over less dirty material. Max stared down at the cakes, his face thoughtful. Then he removed the oven gloves, folded them on the tabletop, and pinched the ridge of his nose, eyes closed. I tried to ask, but how many of these were we supposed to make? I've only now realized I've never asked Harry how much food she needs. Oh, you hadn't thought of that. Well, it had been decided to bring cupcakes. Harry never said anything about quantity. She simply wanted another dessert besides her cake. Explained as much to Baxter. He breathed in through his nose, then sighed deeply, opened his eyes. Perhaps that's because Terry doesn't know herself. That's understandable. This whole party was extempore? Like what? I don't know if I said that right or not. Joke 36 enough. And with a spare batter, we don't have enough. We don't have time to prepare another batch. Not there to cool and be frosted for the event. Next time, my thanks once again that you brought your family spare tins over. Otherwise, the crowd will be fighting over paltry 12 cupcakes. Welcome, we got lucky. Speaking of Finley, you checked the clock on your phone to see how long ago you bid them farewell. Well, it's already gone past midnight. You couldn't believe it got so late. You couldn't even start the frosting until the cakes had cooled, which might take another hour or more. Put the phone down, glancing in Baxter's direction. You were acutely aware he was doing you a favor, more than one for that matter. You didn't want to further impose if it'd be an issue. So I put the question to him directly, as much as you were able. What would be worse, staying up even later to finish everything tonight, or getting up bright and early tomorrow morning? Baxter scrunched up his face, his boyish nose wrinkling in distaste. Wake up early, no questions. Of course, he knew you'd say that before you even asked, but you wanted to give him the choice. It's fine, don't worry. I'll stay awake as long as you need to see this endeavor through. I understand why I was signing up for when I offered to help, more or less. Though I also don't mind if you head home and get some rest. I can idle around until the cakes have set, and then, well, you know, the rest. Till today, never baked before, and by extension, I'm 99% certain I've never frosted a cake before either. I can manage. There's throat, crossing his arms with finality. Point is, I don't intend to quit until the end. The bitter but hopeful, not bitter and taste end. Well, after such a resting speech, I can't exactly abandon you. Appreciate it greatly, both your continued company and your help. We'll get through this with, what was it? Awesome and terrible power teamwork? Bow down. Of course, all hail. The comment made, you decided to put the cakes in the freezer for a short while till speed the cooling process along. With 3 tins fit snugly inside, nothing left to do but wait. I wonder how Terry's cake is going. Is that a note of concern I hear? I wouldn't fret about it. If so, managed to sell nothing less than total success. I have known her for long, haven't I? Terry strikes me as a force of nature that few things could impede. When she sets her mind of course of action. You have summed Terry up pretty well. You could put your faith in her that way. The fact that Baxter picked up on that after only a few conversations put your heart at ease. Baxter pressed firmly against the freezer door, making positively sure that it had shut. Then he tapped on his phone, setting another timer before glancing at your direction. Since we need to wait a while longer, why don't we take this opportunity to rest? Welcome to use either the couch or your chair in the living room. Trying to figure around his collar before putting a hand on to his forehead from pantomiming fatigue. I must say, trying to keep up with you is taking its toll on my stamina. I'm starting to feel the effects. Take a rest on the couch, then. Of course, please go right ahead. Oh, before you go, double hand gesturing vaguely about. I almost forgot where we were. Let me show you, but can I bring you anything refreshing drink? I was about to get myself a little something. What are you having? Tapped a finger to his chin, made a non-committal sound. You'll find out soon enough. This was rather unusual. You were privately observed. Baxter would never normally dodge a direct question. It's always straightforward, even in necessary so, as Code might say. Oh well, no use lose sleep over it now when you're losing so much already tonight. Made your way into the sitting area, making yourself at home on the generously sized couch. So unexpectedly comfortable for one so fashionable. The house was built on an open plan to the extent that you could still see Baxter over in the kitchen from your area waiting. He opened one of the cabinets and took something that looked suspiciously like one of the plastic champagne flutes you and Terry had brought out earlier, except that one was real glass. From the fridge he fetched a large green bottle from a side shelf, which he hadn't spotted before. He just screw a cork off the top. Out of it poured a fizzy liquid, pale and golden color. Why am I not surprised? You're sharp, that's why. The reply came immediately without so much as a glance in your direction, and no compunction about what he was doing. Smiled and shook her head. He carefully navigated his way out of the kitchen and perched himself on one of the chairs. Let's keep this between us, alright? Lips curled mischievously, but like a mate drinking on the job, what a shameful way to start my new party planning occupation. Pro bono, naturally. Cheers, Beanie. He took a long, slow sip of his champagne, closing his eyes and savoring the taste. He smacked his lips and let out a low ah of enjoyment. That's the spot, much better than that thing they called a baby Bellini. Though you wouldn't have admitted it, the laid-back manner which he handled such an illicit topic was rather beguiling. But he had a bit of soft spot for the bad boys. That snapped on something Baxter said a moment ago. His jokes about drinking while on the clock. In a certain sense, you reasoned. It wasn't so much a joke after all. There's a Radley committed to helping you and Terry organize Miranda's party at extreme short notice. He dedicated himself to the endeavor, not just today, but tomorrow as well. All that for a group of people who only recently come to know. Are you really enjoying yourself? That didn't meet your gaze. His eyes wandered around the room as he gently swirled the champagne in his glass. Took another slow sip before answering intently dramatic. I'm having a good time, Beanie. I'd hate for you to fret over something such as that. I couldn't have devised a more pleasant way to spending my time here, even if I tried, and to be frank, I have tried. I didn't come to Sunset Bird totally devoid of any plans or ideas. You and your friends have invited me to participate in an event with great significance to you. It's a profound gesture to show to a relative stranger. When it's over and I'm long gone from here, I hope you can all look back on this party for years to come, maybe for the rest of your lives, and treasure the memory. And if I'm part of that memory, then that is satisfaction enough. Though perhaps I'm in danger of giving my contribution too much credit. He was smiling, but it was a muted, distant thing, like a car headlamp seen a long way off, ready to turn a corner. It felt akin to a farewell, even though he wasn't leaving yet. The glimmer was gone as his eyes met yours over the rim of his champagne flute. Besides, I'm on vacation. I have nothing but day after day of generous free time. It would be silly to begrudge its being used, especially as it's easier for me. This partly is only a party from my perspective, so I can put my head back and simply bask the occasion with the highs and lows. For you and your friends, this is important. It has weight. I just say, I'm curious about the situation. You and Terry are both determined to make this a big event, but for all that, it seems a rather one-off affair. I shouldn't sound critical, but if you're in the regular habit of throwing each other parties, I would have expected better preparation for, well, the preparation. Is there something about this specific birthday that warrants such a special affair? Found yourself taken back by this. It wasn't like you hadn't thought about it, either. You'd been doing as much earlier tonight, but what with the rush to get all the ingredients and baking the cakes, you'd been distracted since then. All at once, the feelings you'd suppressed bubbled back up to the surface. Slowly, hesitantly, you began to talk. This might be the last birthday we get to celebrate together. I've known Coop basically his whole life. Terry and Randy, not as long still. They're important to me. Soon we'll be grown up and we'll head off to different places in life. You're getting choked up, putting the feelings to words. You rolled your voice to hold together. But I'm kind of heartbroken over it. I know that they'll be around, but it still feels like I'm losing them, you know? As he listened to your explanation, Baxter regarded you with a solemn expression. There was a pinch in his forehead where his eyebrows had come together. He was all sympathy. I'm sorry you're going through a difficult experience. I wish I knew how to alleviate matters. It's so uncertain. Sadly, there are few, if any, guarantees in the world. Or rather, such is the case for the vast majority of us. I can believe there are people who can remain close to each other in spite of the distance and years between them. Those who will remain in your life anyways. Countenance had softened, a faint hopefulness lighting his face as moonlight on water. He spoke with tenderness. I believe you'll find those kinds of people, Beanie, I really do. And while nobody can say for sure, I bet that you already have. I think I found them too. I'm glad to hear that. We should all be so lucky. Maybe it was a party partly due to the lateness of the hour, the ordeal you were both wading through, but you were overcome with a strange urge of affection for Baxter. You'd be the first to play it down, but you knew the memories of your time with him were going to be precious indeed. Oh my god. Hold on. Just checking stuff. Give me 1 sec. I was trying to see if anyone went live. Let's do the kids, why not? As she lips to his, Baxter responds somewhat hesitantly at first. Feels the uncovering a hair's. I'm sorry, what? Breath? Bread? What? Oh shit, hold on. I almost forgot about my Duolingo. I did not get that notification at all. Breath above your forearms, like he wasn't certain what to do. Eventually, he's into it, holding you gently while moving his mouth against yours. There was an uncharacteristic nervousness to his chest. But away, he saw his eyes had been narrowly open. Baxter let out a heavy breath, pressing a hand to his sternum. His pale complexion was stained with a vibrant flush. It was such a captivating color in contrast to his usual monochrome. At his throat, leaned away to place his champagne flute over on one of the coffee tables nearby. Eyes avoidant. Perhaps the best not to be too distracted when we decorate the cupcakes after all, or drunk for that matter. This was directly inwardly as much as it was to you, a low murmur, an attempt to calm himself. There was a long pause. The only sound was a faint whisper of a car passing by, the gurgle of the fridge from the kitchen. Toby jumped and surprised that Baxter's phone went off like a shot in the night. It was the alarm he set when you put the cakes in the freezer. He shakily turned it back off, getting up from his seat. A few seconds hesitation, and then, well, no, those cupcakes better be ready for us. It had vaguely dangerous quality of a threat, which was so observed after the past few minutes that you couldn't help but giggle. More energy, but this was it. The final stretch before the finish line. You left the living room and returned to the kitchen, where Baxter propped open the freezer door. He retrieved the bowl of frosting and a plastic bag of piping, one with the tubes of glitter Terry had given you hours ago. We can each take half and do the frosting and dusting in one go, right? Wish me luck. Gotcha. Good luck. Phil set about this task with a grim determination. He worked quickly, not showing any conversation or otherwise distracting from the job at hand. You frosted and dusted, each of the 36 cupcakes being lined up along the counters as they were completed. Oh, drat. Make that 35. The singleton Baxter dropped, splattered hopelessly on the kitchen floor. There was a break in the frosting, a moment of respect for a cake no loss. Then you both shrugged. One extra cupcake wasn't about to make a world of difference, though Terry might have disagreed, but Terry did know one hurt her. When these frying cupcakes had been properly outfitted with sugar, more sugar on top of the existing sugar to be precise, you stepped back to admire your creation. There is a marked difference between your half and Baxter's, besides the fact that he was now one cake shorter. Yours were quaint little jewels with matching tops. His glitter was uneven, and much of his frosting had come out in lopsided heaps. They should still taste good, and that was just as important. He took fish chopped 4 airtight plastic containers from a lower drawer and stashed the cakes inside. Lids were closed, boxes were in the fridge, and finally, the door was shut. It was finished. You had survived. You checked the time. It was almost 2 in the morning. He could have almost cried from joy. Baxter rubbed his tired eyes and massaged his temples. I have a newfound respect for bakers everywhere. I shall look forward to having all my future life plans events professionally catered, even if it costs a fortune. Stared down at the miserable remains of the casualty cupcake on the tile. Never again. You looked the sight too funny for you to keep a straight face. Ignore the mess. I can take care of it. I'll see you back to your house. I fear your parents might be worried if you've been out so late. Sure that it was fine. Your moms knew where you were just across the street, and you said it might take a while. You weren't concerned. Baxter was relieved to hear it. The journey home was a blur, a disconnected sequence of images. A promise Baxter walked you down the steps of his condo and across the road. Remember the stars twinkling overhead, the clap of your shoes on the asphalt as you skipped along. You went through the childhood home in the dark. By feeling instinct alone, you climbed the stairs in silence, tiptoed to your room, and approached the bed, and then you jerked awake with a start. There's a loud knocking coming from your bedroom door. Kiddo, you awake? You're in your bedroom. You were pretty sure about that anyway. 80% positive, at least. You were too drowsy to come up with any more creative place to be. But besides the basic and likely fact of existing in your bedroom, you found that you hadn't the faintest idea what was going on. There had been a voice, right? You remembered a voice. Terry phoned the house earlier, but you missed her. There was again your mom's voice. Slowly blinked awake, realization came to you in stages. Called the events of yesterday. The live sensations swarming your memory, frantic afternoon planning, shopping, and of sugar. Remember the things that June Baxter decided not to talk about. Somebody yet ended up in your bed and asleep. But you didn't recall setting an alarm. Terry said she'd pick you up at 7 this morning, so she was your wake-up call for the day. You threw the covers off, getting out of bed as noisily as you could manage. All right, I'm up. Sitting in the middle of your room, your mind blinked. Then you scrunched up your face real tight and allowed your brain to form a coherent thought. Miranda's birthday was Miranda's birthday. You hastily changed into a fresh set of clothes, tried to tame your bedhead as best you could, and then raced downstairs. Bid your moms a quick farewell. Have fun, sweetie. Say happy birthday to Miranda for us. Barely enough time to yell a quick thank you over your shoulders, but you're out the front door. When you stepped outside, Cove was there waiting for you on the sidewalk. The number of times you left the house to find him there, it sometimes made you wonder if he lived on your sidewalk. He hadn't the faintest trace of sleepiness on him, but then Cove rarely did. He was a tiny sun at any time of the day, but mornings were when he shone the brightest. You exchanged your usual greetings, but rather than stop to chat, you kept on walking back. Explained to him the cakes were at Baxter's place, and you needed to go pick them up. Oh, all right. Go didn't tag long, content to leave you to your own devices. That made sense. He wasn't yet at the point of seeking out Baxter's company willingly. It wasn't likely to start now. When you knocked on Baxter's door, popped right open like your mirror tap. His head knocked it off his hinges. Hi, Baxter. Good morning. I've been expecting you. You had gotten that expression. We decided in the hallway to let you pass, and you strode briskly into the condo. Followed you into the kitchen where you found the cakes in their containers stacked on the countertop. The big day is finally here, excuse me. Squisher had been broken with an enormous yawn. Sightseeing seats sits the coffee shop. Yeah, I'm just wondering, what time did you go to bed last night? Truthfully, I didn't make it to bed. You weren't surprised by now. Baxter was just like that, but you still felt a bit of pain. You were putting him through the ringer with this party. It's not an issue. I felt rather rough after I finished cleaning yesterday. Took the liberty of having a nice long shower. I also prefer to avoid going to bed with a damp hair. But no sooner had I gone dry than I realized I wouldn't be able to get any substantial amount of sleep before I needed to be up again anyway. So I stayed awake instead. Maybe try to take a nap sometime today. I'll see what I can do. Enough about me. Let's take these delicacies outside and wait for Terry. Text me earlier to let me know she was on her way. I imagine you received a similar message. Terry had indeed sent you a message, although it was too early in the day to be hit with something with so many explanation points. How much sleep had she gotten? Picked up the 2 of the waiting boxes, leaving you to carry the remainder. You didn't linger, instead heading straight for the front entrance. Baxter came out behind you with the key. They juggled the logistics, eventually resorting to balancing the containers in one hand, considering tray before closing and locking the door with the other. Back on the street, Cove was still loitering on the street down by the front gate, blissfully unaware of what the secret party planning committee had gone through for this. Baxter called over to him, full of characteristically good cheer. Good morning, neighbor. Hey. Cove's response was quiet, more distracted than aloof. He was paying much interest at the boxes you were carrying. He had hopes about their contents. The plastic was kind of foggy and translucent, so it wasn't quite possible to tell what was inside. But Cove intuited that whatever it was edible. The boy was like a shark sometimes. My friend, you're looking at 35 of the finest baked chocolate cupcakes with cream cheese frosting. Cove's face visibly lit up at the word cake, as if he'd been offered one already. That's great. My Terry was also bringing a proper birthday cake from home as well. Oh my fucking god, I'm sorry. Cove smiled a little wider. He hoped Baxter was taking notes. The weight of a man's heart is through the stomach, was a phrase he suspected had originally been written about Cove. The promise of treats was far and away the most exciting aspect of any party, at least to him. Your childhood companion was so silly you thought he'd provide you with most of the lifetime's worth of entertainment for free. In fact, someone had tried to pay you to have it. Those won't be the only sweets either. There's going to be a chocolate fountain, too. His mouth formed a perfectly round O, and you thought you could see sparkles in his eyes. Maybe there were sprinkles. What are you guys bringing to dip in it? Strawberries, marshmallows, banana slices, pretzels? While Cole was busy listing every single item he thought might reasonably taste good and drenched in liquefied chocolate, struck you that you didn't know what the answer to this question was. Was Terry handling that? Were you supposed to have thought of something? You exchanged a nervous glance with Baxter, who shifted uncomfortably from one foot to another. I am not very good. Baxter didn't have a clue either, which could only mean that you had never even discussed the matter with Terry yesterday. It was the cupcake quandary all over again. Your shoulders slumped, yet honestly never anticipated organizing a party would involve coordinating so many different things. Your mind simply couldn't keep track of it all. Through your distress, Baxter slipped into his usual mode of cool cucumberness. Let's think about this. Terry took the fountain home with her, so we can sensibly assume that she had taken charge of it, and by extension, the offerings to dip into the fountain. However, time's on our side, and luck has not been either. In order to be 100% absolutely crystal clear about the matter, we should text her and ask. Though she is currently driving, chilled off a hint of anxiety, managing to mar even his carefully schooled demeanor. He exchanged a new set of nervous glances, Cove joining in this time. This problem was one even he could worry about. We could grab stuff. Our houses are right here, and you know what Terry's like? If she knew what she was going to do, she would have said so already. Baxter inclined his head in agreement, bending down to place his boxes of cakes on the ground near the condo's front entrance. Then he straightened, pulled himself up to his full height. We're going to go to our homes to retrieve some suitable samplers. Terry will arrive and take us to the venue, and there will be no further problems. Voice resonated with a forceful air of finality. This was perhaps the closest he seemed to Baxter losing his temper. Then he added as an afterthought, unless of course we are hit by a car on the way there, but quite frankly, there'll be too much too tired here. I'm let's settle this. That's insanity. He's right, it had to be done. You simply put down your box of cupcakes next to Baxter's, then the three of you made a run for it, each going your separate ways. You dashed over the road and hopped inside your house. Heading directly for the kitchen, you opened cabinets at random, racking your brain for anything to bring. One would go in a chocolate fountain. You wish you'd pay more attention to what Cove had been saying earlier. You didn't remember to swipe a bunch of ripe bananas off the counter. Then you hit the jackpot of the highest shelf of your family's cupboard. Back outside, the three of you examined the spoils of your impromptu raiding party. There are several types of assorted fruits, marshmallows, some cookies, pretzels, and a box of granola bars. This last item, one of Cove's, had Baxter chuckling underneath his breath. I had to say, I never heard of granola bars being dipped in a fountain before, chocolate or otherwise. Hey, would you rather I brought protein bars instead? No, this is good. It'll be a novel addition, not to mention easy for people to hold without a utensil. Besides, I hardly contributed at all. Just a little timidly at the back of salted pretzels. This whole addition to the haul, it was all he had to bring. You'd save the day by finding your mom's and Liz's special treats, 3 types of cookies, and big marshmallows. They had to sacrifice this for this event, as everyone else did. Right, I brought some bags along to put everything in. I can carry those while you two handle the cakes. You and Baxter both praised Cove's quick thinking and gratefully dumped everything into the bags he held up. Then he gathered up the boxes of cupcakes. You mingled about, making idle conversation about the upcoming party and trading some anecdotes with Cove about baking process from the night before. He was especially mournful to hear about the accident that had claimed the 36th cupcake. But soon there was the telltale sign of a vehicle approaching at speed. The Rex van pulled alongside you, and the horn honked loudly in greeting. Terry had arrived. You could see the enormous grin on her face through the front windshield. She enthusiastically stuck her arm out of the driver's window and waved. Cove beamed and waved back. I'll get the door. Pulled open the side door. Jumping inside and striking up a conversation with Terry immediately, you clambered in after him. Car was normally spacious, but since you'd filled up with party equipment yesterday, it had gotten cramped. Made room for the additional food wherever you could. Hey, Butts, you ready to make like an RPG and party up? Not really. Were you ready to have a chocolate fountain? What did you bring to dip in it? Being subject to this accusation right out of the gate knocked Terry completely off her stride. Her expression was utterly baffled. Cove, how do you know about the chocolate fountain? I almost forgot we even had a chocolate fountain. Terry clapped a hand to her forehead, her eyes wide. Oh shit, I forgot to bring stuff for the chocolate fountain. Terry started panicking, but Baxter promptly headed that off and passed, a casual rap of his knuckles against the internal wall of the van. Leaned in through the side door, having stopped short of climbing inside after you and Cove. No need to worry about it, Terry. We thought that might have happened, so we took the liberty of bringing along some offerings of our own. You guys got the goods? Yep, right here. Cove held up one of the bags of extra supplies he was still clutching, jingling enticingly. Terry placed a hand heavily to her heart. Crap, you were my saviors, but don't scare me like that. I thought this party was a bust. Do you know how many times I thought that in the last 12 hours? You're so lucky you're not doing this by yourself, Terry. Where would you be without us? Where would your fun be without us? Oh yeah, you got that right. Remind me to treat you something once this is all over. Deal. Hold on, you barely did anything, Cove. So he has pressed no, and it was thanks to him we realized that was a miss. Cove speaks for us all. I think you have yourself a deal, sir. Fine. Slowly but surely, you felt some of the stress from the last several hours fade away into the company of your friends. Maybe this whole thing would work out all right in the end. Baxter gently tapped the side of the vehicle again, grabbed everyone's attention. With that safely out of the way, I'll part with you through here. I'm going to drive along behind in my own car, if that's all right. Oh, okay, sure. That's cool with me, man. Terry really didn't get what Baxter was doing, but she wasn't about to start raising objections. A brief glance at the two of you confirmed that neither you nor Cove had a clue between you either. Splendid, I'll see you very soon. Punctuated us very well by shutting the van door, leaving you and Cove to buckle yourself in. Terry watched in the rearview mirror as Baxter approached his vehicle and got inside. Once he found his seatbelt and flashed her a quick thumbs up, she put the van in drive and pulled out. Baxter followed suit, and the four of you were off. Sat the boxes of cupcakes stacked precariously in your lap. Your arms wrapped around the sides to prevent the tower from toppling. You're hyper aware of every last dip and bump in the familiar roads like you've never been before. As you went along, Terry laid out the plan for when you arrived. So the idea is to make sure we get all the snacks, drinks, and that stuff ready first, in case we're missing anything or anything else. Then we gotta decorate everything as fast as physically possible before noon. Basically, that's when people start showing up. We're gonna order some sandwich, platter, and salad bowls and stuff on delivery. Those should be there for people to eat along with the cake, sort of like a late lunch. Oh, and by we, I mean Randy's mom and dad. Both luck for that part. Threw her head back and whooped with glee, a sound that was pure and clear as the morning. Felt her infectious enthusiasm. She continued, anyways, Randy doesn't want to have her party drag on forever. We'll need time to clean up before the place closes. So we're going to wrap things up with an event before dinner. When the guests are gone, we'll have until 10 before we get kicked out of the room. Now, I won't sugarcoat it or even chocolate coat it. Team, it's going to be another long day for all of us. Just don't forget, Randy's going to be amazed. It'll all be worth the effort. I just know it. Closed your eyes, leaning back against the seat of the van. Terry was speaking the truth, of course, about all of it. It was to be another grueling day, but you had your friends, and you were grateful to be huddling in the back of a van, surrounded by a mountain of bags and 35 cupcakes in your lap, to be alive, to be there. You might have been in the same danger of falling asleep again, sitting down for too long, but before you could nod off, Terry was parking the van in the lot outside a large building. Looked like it hosted generic offices rather than parties. Couldn't judge a book by its cover, apparently. We're here, everybody out. Command, you and Cove dutifully climbed out of the van. Baxter was pulling up in his car and managed to stick close to Terry the whole way. Your group had reassembled. There was a brief re-exchange of greetings. Terry was in the mood to dawdle and clapped her hands together. Time to get moving, people. We got a whole truck to unload. Aye, aye, Captain. As you command, sir. Sure. You and Terry carried your respective desserts while Cove and Baxter worked together to take a folded table from the back of the van. Terry led the way to the rented room. You peeked your head around the cupcake container and got a first look at the party place. It seriously was perfect for this, and exactly as Terry had originally described. Shiny, pretty, and pink. Terry's direction, the boys put the table down in what would eventually be the refreshment section of the party. They extended the legs and flipped it upright. Once it was stable on its feet, Baxter was quick to cover the surface with one of the golden tablecloths and was ready to go. Ever so carefully, set your plastic chest of bejeweled consumables down. When the opaque lids came up, the revealed frosted tops were still intact. Close inspection, you could tell a few cupcakes on the left side of the container were slightly smushed, but the glitter coating hadn't rubbed off, so no one else would notice the imperfection. Ah! Terry's gleeful explanation came from over your shoulder. She caught sight of Yara and Baxter's handiwork. That's what I'm talking about. Foy cake with bits of rainbow confetti in her hands was the one element that was out of place with the theme. It was entirely unglamorous, a relic of more childlike birthdays. But that's why he was certain Miranda would adore it. She hadn't completely outgrown her old favorites. Terry put it next to the cupcakes and gave you a big thumbs up. You had everything you needed, and the biggest potential disasters have been avoided. Holy crap. I am going to finish this. That is what I am going to do. I'm going to finish this. You can focus on the rest of the preparation work with confidence. The whole secret party planning committee went for another round of supply gathering. Another table, piles of plastic bags were brought into the venue. On the third round, everything had made it inside. You carried a red cooler filled with chilled, sparkling cider. Terry hid that under the cover table until later. Then all four of you sat around the lit-up dance floor, taking stuff out of the bags and sorting into piles. Things for food on one half of the room, decorations on the other. Trying to cover both cross-legged, Baxter kept his legs stretched out. It was kind of like being a kid on Christmas, except instead of opening gifts, it was things you'd have to set up. Instead of piles of wrapping paper all around, it was plastic thank you for shopping bags. You still had plenty of fun, especially after I somehow decided that Cove Holden was the perfect hook for the feather boas. And after another was tossed over his shoulder and into his lap until he looked like a multicolored big bird. Cove accepted the assignment with only a moderate amount of complaining. When the spies were completely unpacked, Terry surveyed the collection of plates, napkins, utensils, plastic cups, and such. She announced that she handled the snack and drinks arrangements. She delegated you, Baxter, and Cove to everything else with the room. After a salute, Terry left his circle and headed to her station. Under his cloak of feathers, Cove got busy snapping off tags and removing casings. Baxter followed his lead. The empty bags were repurposed for holding trash. Peacefully and productively, your little team worked away on different tasks, till a grin of frustration echoed through the air. You glanced toward the opposite side of the room, Terry shaking the chocolate fountain like she was trying to get a prize to fall out of it. Technical difficulties? Say the obvious. Everyone in the room was aware of Terry's struggles. That's right, I have a bit of experience with those beasts. I should be able to offer assistance. Yeah, his announced intentions as he got up. There wasn't much left that had packaging, and he wanted to make sure everything was right. He decided to go see Terry too. Cove was left to hold down the fort. He shrugged, and one of those bows slipped from his neck. Crossed the floor together, and with a wave, Baxter spoke out to the woman hunched over a table. Hello. Terry sprung up at the sound. Her face was despairing, and she skipped right past the greeting. How do you use this thing? Yeah, the chocolate is supposed to go, right? Because it's not going. Baxter pursed his lips and cocked a hip. Basically, you add the melted chocolate into the machine. Turn it on. It takes a minute, but should start flowing. We can troubleshoot. Wait, the melted chocolate? She released her clutch on the fountain. Doesn't it melt when you put it in? A pinch of frustration made Baxter wince. It was only momentarily. Then he was smiling placatingly. He had to deliver bad news as plentifully as possible. To use a chocolate fountain, the chocolate must be melted ahead of time. It won't cook in the machine. Those novelties aren't that sophisticated. What? I didn't know that. I didn't know that you didn't know that. Should have asked. I should have known. I should have been the one to set it up in the first place. Baxter's regrets grew and grew. You never used one before, and I have. The both of them dropped their faces with a sigh, though the dramatics of their actions were entirely on different levels. Baxter's ejection was subtle, restrained. Meanwhile, Terry couldn't have exaggerated her misery more. After Baxter used his own money to get it, and all the trouble you went to finding treats that could use in it, fun ended up a useless metal tower. Make this thing work. You're absolutely right. Baxter trained himself up like an actual professional. He viewed the situation from an objective distance and gave perspective to the more emotionally attached Terry. It's not too late quite yet. This is a temporary hitch. I'll take the chocolate somewhere. It could be melted and come back. I'll need a way to keep it warm during the trip. Perhaps the thermos will work? Would you be able to find thermos and melt chocolate before the party starts? Chuck put a hand over his mouth. That is highly unlikely, but all you need to do is enjoy other parts of the party first. Dance, drink, eat one of the lovely cupcakes. Then he flicked his wrist, gesturing away from his face. I'll return at some point during the evening with the fountain. Will go up then. You can act as if it's potential to bring it out later. Ideally, the fountain can accompany the serving of the cake. No one has to know it was a problem factor. Thank you, Baxter. He inclined his head humbly, all the while grinning. As boastful as I usually prefer to be, there are some situations where I can be surprisingly stubborn. This is one of them. Terry gripped her chest, overcome by such loyalty and dedication. P-Man, you're the best. We'll finish getting ready and keep the party going until you make it. Excellent. Godspeed. It couldn't be understood what a stroke of luck it had to be someone like Baxter Ward on committee. Take care. Daddy sauntered out of the room, a bag of unmelted chocolate in his hand and a smile on his face. In time with the shouting at the door, Terry smacked her palm against the table indefinitely. It's gonna be the best party I've ever done, no matter what, because it's gonna be the only party I'll ever throw. Never again. Next time somebody else is gonna have to be in charge. I'll just help. That's kind of already in charge. Now, if he was, the chocolate fountain would be going already. He loved even more. She loved too. Come on, Vinny. He's not gonna let us down. We can't stop either. Let's finish this. Yeah. Spider-Man only come face to face with the fluffy cove. He buried himself further in the feather realism again, fiddling with the balloon he must have inflated. Cove was left to wait alone the entire time. He stared awkwardly, as did Terry. Is everything alright? We can only hope, Cove. We can only hope. Okay. Cove looked at that, not any more informed or assured. And so the party decorating continued with one less person. More balloons were blown up and placed about. Streamers were strung up, and he even moved a bench from a corner to the center stage. It would act as a makeshift throne for the queen of the day. Finally, all trash bags were carted out of the event space and tossed into a dumpster outside. The three of you returned and stood in the center of the now cleared dance floor to admire your handiwork. Wall floor to ceiling, the room gleamed. It looks good. It does. It actually does. Terry was beaming whiter than you'd ever seen. After a day and a half of almost non-stop preparation, she pulled off something pretty great. She was certainly a homemade arrangement by a group of friends at the last minute. But that was half of the charm. Your efforts were easy to see. Sat in a row along the edge of the stage, resting, waiting before the big event. No one talked. Cove tapped his foot, until finally Terry's phone went off. She read the message fervently. Forward in haste. It's from Jude. The guests are arriving. I repeat, the guests are arriving. Miranda, her siblings, her parents, aunts, and uncles and cousins, friends, and other people. They're going to be in this room any minute. Be ready. Terry shot from the back of the room to the front in a matter of seconds. She had the music on. She then strung a few bags along her arms. The ones hadn't been used for trash. Cove put the accessories in them for safekeeping after he was done wearing all the bows himself, of course. With that hanging over her, Terry stood and waited at the entrance. You and Cove joined her. Noises could be heard on the other side. Cove's hand clenched. Terry's clasped onto his shirt like she was about to meet her maker. Then the door slowly began to open. On the other side, a small crowd was huddled together. At the head of it was Miranda herself. Oh my gosh. The dazzling pink party room was reflected in Miranda's big, sparkling eyes. Terry threw her bag-laden arms into the air, none of them fell off, fortunately. Surprise! 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 Spoken Miranda was overcome with surprise. Terry and Beanie and Cove? That's right, what do you think of your party this year? Terry queried her friend eagerly, though the quickness of her question was partially motivated by a discreet anxiety. Miranda blinked, and she knew. Her family weren't the ones who put on this event. She answered with wholehearted appreciation. I love it. It's amazing. Way nicer than I ever would have thought. I'm surprised you. You really didn't know what we were up to? You're not just being nice? You definitely got me. I didn't think this much would happen. Especially since it's not my 18th birthday or 21st or anything like that. It's only 19. What? All your birthdays are a big deal. Randy giggled at Terry's assertion. While her eyes were closed, you and Terry shared a look. This party was more important than Miranda realized. Thanks a ton. This is exactly what I wanted, and I didn't even know it. Cove let out a relieved breath. Terry pumped a fist victoriously, and the bags she was holding flung around. Miranda's secret birthday bash was a hit. More and more guests gathered and wandered about. They opened and admired the room. Terry nodded please. It's party time. Let's use the stuff we got. Took the contents of each sack on the empty end of the table for everyone to access. Bunch of sunglasses clattered out with the boas. On top of the bag was the white one. Terry stashed that back in the bag and threw it under the table. Puff, simply give her your thanks for the save. That was obviously for Baxter and no one else. Miranda gave a clap. It was one delight after another today. Terry spotted sunglasses in purple for the bow. Cove just went for a pair of sunglasses. Enough of wearing those boas already. Or maybe it wasn't any fun when he was only allowed to take one. Managed to fit them over his regular glasses. Miranda got her own oversized shades, but instead of a bow, she was granted the special birthday girl sash to set her apart from all the other attendees. Bella and sunglasses. They made you feel like this. This made you feel like the glamorous diva from the interactive play. Nice, nice. All decked out for the party, Terry directed Miranda's attention to what else was on the tables. She was charmed anew when she saw the waiting rows of fake champagne and outright stunned when her eyes landed on the display of glittery cupcakes. That's so pretty. Did you buy those? Nope, they're homemade. Really? They look like they're from a pro bakery. Thank you. Can I win now, or are we waiting until it's time for cake? That's your call, birthday girl. She boomed. It was time for the queen to make her decree. Then declare that we can eat all cupcakes right now. What a gracious host. Works for me. Using the three of them reached for a treat. The cupcake and bit into it right away. The fluffy cake and creamy frosting were delicious, and all the sweeter knowing how much work had gone into it. Terry licked the shining frosting first. That was most intriguing to her. Miranda broke the bottom of the cupcake off and stuck it on into the frosting to make a cupcake sandwich. First, she took a bite. She's seen it in a video one time and done it since. Phil crammed half the dessert into his mouth at once. They each had their own unique way of enjoying their confection, but enjoyed it they did. It was too bad Baxter wasn't there to see the results of your shared labor. You'd have to at least let him know all the trouble wasn't in vain. While the stacking occurred, you caught sight of Jude in the crowd of guests. He had a blue boa around his forehead, feathers hung down and partially covered his eyes. But his bangs were so long, his view was already partially obstructed, so it didn't make that much of a difference. Miranda's mom, dad, and two older sisters were going around the room taking pictures and videos. Whenever the cameras ended up pointing in their general direction, Terry and Miranda posed like superstars. Seeing the entire Eckhart family enjoy themselves really made the effort worth the while. The cupcakes were finished and crumbs were wiped away. Then, hand in hand, Terry and Miranda hit the dance floor. Phil's hand, meanwhile, hovered over the platter of cupcakes. Started taking another, but closed his fingers and fists. He'd resisted the temptation, turned aside in the direction of your friends, encouraging you to come with. He left the snack table to toe the edge of the lit up floor. He didn't go an inch past that border, clapping and calling out to Miranda and Terry as much partying as he was capable of. Joining Miranda and Terry. The two threw their hands in the air when you rushed over. Miranda screeched and Terry chanted your name when you moved with music. More and more guests crowded onto the bright lights at the center, like moths to a flame. Terry whipped and twirled her boa. Miranda's sunglasses kept almost flying off her face with the quick footed moves she was pulling. After a couple songs, Terry dragged Miranda to the front so she could sit in the throne you'd prepared for her. Time for a cheer. Being the center of attention normally embarrassed Randy, but today she could ignore those inclinations. Wait there, Randy. Cove, help me get the drinks around. Stretched for you over the sea of people and winked when your eyes met. We've got to make up for not helping at all. You gotta help. Gotta make up for not helping at all yesterday. Fine. They got to it. Pouring in the passing drinks around the room, Cove offered one from the first batch to you. Grim-faced lady saw what was going on and suddenly helped give out the glasses of fake champagne. She knew the drill without being told. Recognized the woman from prior Miranda bashes. It was nice seeing her again, even though you already said 2 words to each other in all those years of attending the same birthdays. Thanks to the efforts of those three, once we had a cup ready to go. At the front stage, Terry passed the guest of honor a glass too. It was time. To the birthday girl. Happy birthday, Miranda. Dozens of sparkling drinks glimmered under the shining lights as they were raised in toast. People drank and clink glasses with whoever they were rubbing elbows with. It was intensely sugary. Bubbles pleasantly tickled your throat. It was as if the entire essence of the party, the thrills and sweetness, had been distilled into a drink. With half a plastic champagne glass, Miranda left from her seat, off the stage, and landed in the crowd on the dance floor. That got a second round of cheering. Terry followed right after, and the celebrating resumed in full force. He were part of the crowd jumping to the beat. Goat still didn't quite dance himself, but he did bob his head to the music and tap foot. Like the cupcakes, you all relished the moment in your own ways. That afternoon was the party to end all parties, for better or worse. Music started flow without stopping until, Randy. Miranda's big brother slipped through the few cracks in the wall of dancers until he reached the hardwood floor. Food's here. It's cake time. Yay! Miranda gave final gleeful twirl on her tiptoes. The birthday sash fluttered. Terry waved Cove over. Let's eat. Gang reunited back at the refreshment table. And there along Miranda's parents setting out sandwich platters for lunch was another figure, a distinctive monochrome figure. He acted entirely at ease behind the table, busy doing a final check over a chocolate fountain. It slipped on, and slowly liquefied chocolate began to trickle out. Baxter did it. That Baxter? Miranda veered closer. She'd come face to face with an unexpected acquaintance in a gathering of people she knew best. Yep, he was here before, too. Oh, why is he setting up a chocolate fountain for my birthday party? He went to her hips. Terry went to her hips to go out the whole story. Lehman was a critical member of the secret party planning group who made this whole thing happen. What, really? Miranda looked back and forth between Baxter and Terry at a loss. Baxter is nice, and I think he can't stand to see an event fail spectacularly or something. For whatever reason, he wouldn't help out. He took us to the star to get supplies, made cupcakes, put up decorations, and did just about everything for that chocolate fountain. It almost had to be next like 3 times. Baxter kept his professionally polite demeanor the entire conversation, by the fact that he had to have heard what they were talking about. Bring innocence, he came around to the other side of the table properly and greeted the guest of honor. Hello, happy birthday. Thank you. She barely knew what to say after finding out exactly how much he contributed. For her gaze dropped, and she tugged at the sash of self cautiously. The minute before, she was live at the party, embracing the cheesy glitz with gusto, but in front of him, she felt childish. Baxter gave a considerate smile. She'll be able to manage the fountain now that it's running. I hope the rest of the party will be a lovely time. You're leaving already? Christian was barely a peep. She had to muster all her confidence to say that much. Yes, my job was done. I was here only for that. He what? It's as if the floor dropped out from under you. Baxter had worked as hard as anyone else to make this party happen. Pulled an all-nighter for it. And he was just going to leave? But what do you say against it, of course? He couldn't invite himself to Miranda's surprise birthday party. Never had a chance to give him permission to attend. Staring at him, he was unruffled as ever. Baxter knew all along he wouldn't get to experience the result of the hard work, and did it anyways. But, well, she released her hold on the accessory and looked into Baxter's face frankly. It's really thoughtful of you to do all this. You should stay and enjoy the party, too. You are a gracious host. Sports held sincere appreciation at the welcome extended, enough to get your hopes up, but I can't do that. The rejection was equally admirable. That didn't make it less disappointing. You don't owe me anything, certainly not a place among your real friends at your birthday party. There's no reason to feel guilty. Now, if you'll excuse me, take care. With a kindly wave that left no room for further arguments, Baxter breezed past your group. That was it. He was gone. Terry began to frown at some point. She had been willing to do anything to make Miranda's birthday great, but it came at a greater cost than she thought. Terry piled job after job on Baxter's shirt because he was just another part of the group in her mind. She was too late that he wasn't, and never had been. Cove could only silently rub the scar on his left arm, and worst of all, Randy's cheer hadn't returned after Baxter's vanishing act was complete. He'd earnestly wished for her to be happy, but it was understandably hard to get into the celebratory spirit after that kind of revelation. It shouldn't have to end like that, and it didn't have to end like that. You couldn't let it end like that. If Baxter wasn't going to be at Miranda's birthday, there had to be something else he could be a part of. Eventually grappled with the problem and cast her eyes about, trying to grasp any hint of an idea. Then something Terry said earlier came back to you. Terry? All 3 of the others glanced your way. It was the first crack in the awkward silence. That was enough for Cove Miranda to also take an interest. Yeah? Could you do me a favor? Are you kidding? I owe you my life for making sure this wasn't a disaster. Help you out with whatever you want. I'll help too if there's something I can do. Thanks. Miranda's birthday will be going for just a couple more hours. It'll be done way before the place closes. Terry said we got the room for the entire day. So tonight, after all the other guests gone, let's use this venue for an after party. No, a totally different party. Another party? He told us that incredulously. Yeah, another party. Not a birthday. It'll be our very own summer soiree. And it could be just for our group. Me, Randy, Terry, Cove, and Baxter. We could try to set aside some of the food and drinks for later, clean up the mess when everyone is left, and we'll have slow music at this event. No, unless you want to dance. Yeah. First, I formed the deal with the one originally most nervous about Baxter being there, but she answered with confidence. I'll be a member of the secret planning party committee for the surprise. He can do it for me, I can do it for him, and maybe Terry was right. We could all use more friends. Cove did not look convinced at all of that. Though couldn't disagree with the main suggestion. Okay. A wide grin pulled at Terry's face seeing this new plan for him. We should catch him before he's gone. He may not get the message if he escapes now. I'm on it. See you. And thanks. Rushed through the guests coming in on all sides, clamoring for their lunch. Bursting out of the party room was like waking from a dream. Things extravaganza were placed by a plain white hallway, and the only sounds were your own footsteps echoing off the aluminum floors. Been able to forget the normal world for a while, but it'd been there the entire time, going on as usual on the other side of the door. But Baxter wasn't there either. He kept going, through the lobby and into the parking lot. His hair might have fit in with the black tarmac and white painted lines, but the camouflage couldn't fool you. He was at the end of the row, moments away from getting into his car. Baxter! Turn around and sound of your voice. Pushing himself further, he shot down the wide open space. Beanie, something happened? Wait, please tell me it's not the chocolate fountain again. Kate had slid immensely in the final feet. Came to a stumbling stop in front of Baxter. He waited patiently for an answer. Nothing's wrong. Well, then that's relief. You could have fooled me, however. You shouldn't be running out of the building if there are no issues. Go into where the dam found them. Baxter's grin was teasing, harmless, though you didn't miss the layer of genuine frustration on the stupid machine after all the trouble it had caused. He splashed his face and shirt out in fluid motions. I'll be fine. Perhaps I'll take a nap. I'm going back. I just have to ask you something first. I see, I'm all ears. So, I know you've already done a lot for this party and us, but if you're not too exhausted, come here again tonight, around 7 p.m.? Baxter's almost unshakable smile was lost suspicion. Not good. They were surprised you were planning. You threw out the first cover that popped into your head before he could speak the obvious question at the tip of his tongue. Thing is, I don't want to ride home, Terry. Oh. It worked. Expression softened. It worked. Baxter was convinced he needed him. All doubts were settled. Certainly, Beanie. I'll be here at 7 on the dot. Quick kiss. Lips pressed against his face and tightened back. It was only for a second, but his warmth lingered even after. So the sparkle in his dark eyes. Thanks. I'll see you soon. Yes, he will. Parted from you yet again, but as he saw him off, he felt good about it. This time, him leaving didn't mean he was simply gone. It meant you'd have time to prepare for his return. You found your way to the party room just in time to sing happy birthday. Sliding alongside the rest of the group, he acted as if he never left. Cove chuckled and quietly welcomed you back. Jerry's confetti cake was placed in front of Randy at the head of the table. The 19 candle he picked up from the store yesterday was lit by her dad. Then, when she blew it out, the room filled with cheers. Her friends and family ate sandwiches, salad, and cake. The chocolate fountain was a huge hit too, thank goodness. Miranda, Terry, and yourself each squirreled away a plate of extra desserts and snacks for the sacred party. Some guests got a second one, and more dancing commenced. And this time, even Cove stepped onto the lit-up floor. Every single one of you could enjoy yourself to the fullest now. You did for the final couple hours of the party. When it got closer to dinner time, guests began to trickle out little by little. Many of them came by to hug Miranda and wish her the best once more. That's how Miranda's 19th birthday concluded and how the preparation for the summer soiree began. He informed the team on when Baxter would be arriving and how they couldn't dally. The four of you plus Miranda's parents and siblings cleaned up trash and took down the decorations that indicated a birthday was going on. Some tables and the sound systems were left in place for the summer soiree. You also recovered the white boa from under the table where Terry hid it earlier. It was still in pristine condition. Perfect. At 6:50, Miranda kindly used the last of her birthday girl power to ask her family to get out of here there so her friends could have their own party. Their clan accepted being kicked to the curb and graciously made themselves scarce. Dude had a peace sign as he shut the door behind himself and the rest of the folks taking their leave. At 6:55, you double-checked the dance floor for any debris. It was spotless. At 6:58, you wandered about the room, trying to pick out the best place to stand and wait. Terry teasingly wondered aloud if that's what she looked like before Randy arrived. It was. At exactly 7, the door cracked open. Excuse me, may I come in? Unsure what he's working to, Baxter paused at the prospect. Enter Baxter Ward. That was all the encouragement needed. Baxter came into the party room. He smiled graciously at the cluster of people silently standing ahead of him. Cove leaned over stiffly like a balloon, slowly deflating. He whispered artfully into her ear. What are you supposed to say now? Are we trying to surprise with this? Let's all shut up. Okay. Terry, Randy, now. Surprise! The unexpected, not to mention delay, explanation of his entrance gave Baxter a start. How good of you to come, Baxter. The way Terry rubbed her hands together and the vague sense of satisfaction returned, he was giving the impression he'd fallen into a nefarious trap. Now all the guests have finally arrived, and we can begin. What do you mean? I should think the guests have left at this point. Baxter generously lowered level of confusion at the strangeness, merely raising his brow rather than making a hasty retreat. Even though Baxter would probably be the last person you knew who'd be scared off by villainous shenanigans, trying to avoid any potential misunderstandings. Like you can tell, there's obviously a summer soiree happening. Hi, zombie. A summer soiree, you say? You've got it. This event is Miranda's birthday, no more. She dramatically crossed her arm over the other and flung them outwards of it, throwing off the entire concept of a birthday. Terry had to rent this room for the entire day, even though we only needed it until the middle of the afternoon. So we decided to use the last few hours we had here to have another party, one that's for the group of us, so you're invited. Or for the bunch, to position yourself right in front of the sun, Baxter. No flinch as you draped the white feather boa over your shoulders. Baxter's mouth opened wordlessly as he stared directly at your face. He gently lifted up a hand, brushing his fingers against the feathers surrounding him. He had to check that it was truly there. Then, with eyes still wide, a delighted grin grew across Baxter's face. I must admit, I didn't expect that at all. I never should have doubted your ability to throw a surprise party. Terry, Randy, and Cove crowded around the TV to reform the group with the newest member. Didn't I tell you the best way to have something to be real surprised if you do it all the last second, so no one has a chance to put it together? Yes, he did. I suppose there are some advantages to the strategy after all. So the summer soiree commenced. He hung around the almost barren snack table. It was the only piece of furniture left behind from Randy's party. There weren't even chairs, mostly. Randy joked that Baxter could take the throne now if he wanted to. That part came with the room. He hurriedly declined. Dinner was simple, more sandwiches than salad. It was also a mostly quiet meal. That's exactly what was needed. At 7 a.m. that morning, he left to prepare for Miranda's birthday. 12 hours later, you were still there. Lazily enjoying one another's company after an extremely long day couldn't be overly appreciated. Cove wiped crumbs from his mouth after he was done eating. Dressed Baxter with being spoken to first for a change. I reserved for you too, a slice of cake and one of the cupcakes. Thank you. I'd like to try the cake Terry made, but I've quite enough of the cupcakes. Fair enough. He was well acquainted with the confections, even if he'd never taken a single bite. Then can I have it? Please do. Don't forget the chocolate fountain. Terry jumped in with another suggestion. The contraption was Baxter's second, arguably more formidable enemy of the event. If it's still going strong, you've got to try it. However, he chuckled. All right, if you insist. For all the trouble it caused, the fountain indeed kept flowing, even as the night went on, and dozens of trees passed through it. That was only part of the equation that was in good shape, however. Finding goodies alongside it had become a plate of baddies. What remained was some snapped pretzel fractions, scraps of fruit, and mostly full-size granola bars. Cookies and marshmallows had, to the shock of no one, been more popular choices. Those were gone long before the first party had even finished. Not one to complain, Baxter plucked up a granola bar, slipped one end into the rippling sheet of liquid chocolate that he had melted himself. Cove, meanwhile, was going to sell for that, despite being the one who brought them. Drove a piece of his second cupcake of the night and stuck that into the fountain. Fingers got coated as well. Baxter languidly watched Cove make a careless miss. You know, food that crumbles will get into the chocolate and... never mind. Sparking, Baxter removed his bar from the fountain and flipped around. Leaned his backside against the edge of the table. What does it matter if the chocolate clumps? I couldn't care if the fountain broke at this point. The point was punctuated with a satisfied bite into the chocolate-covered granola bar. It's good. No matter how definitively he made the statement, it's hard to tell if he was being serious or not. Cookies were life of chocolate pool parties. Granola bars were the wallflowers hiding in the corner, wondering why they even came. Sure, it wasn't ideal, but it was fun. When the slim pickings became non-existent pickings, even the most daring among you had to call it quits on the fountain. Terry used the final chance to fulfill her most base urge, sink her tongue directly into the stream of chocolate. Miranda giggled and squirmed at how wrong it was. Terry gave a thumbs up. Putting your body parts into the contraption was recommended, apparently. Alright. Terry cleaned herself up before making a new announcement. This isn't a birthday celebration, so you know what that means. It's not weird to have slow dancing as our main event. Pardon me? Dancing? The party of 5 is going to have slow dancing? Baxter questioned what he was hearing. Not enough fun, this is too good to be true way, but in a tone that was almost accusatory. Like you've gotten him in a trap after all. I'm getting to get the impression that this impromptu event is less the entire group, more for me specifically. Once again, the group became divided between the 4 of you together and the one outsider. As always, it was self-imposed. Baxter's arms folded as his gaze wandered over each of your faces around him. He was searching for a reason. He wanted to know Baxter's motive for his own behavior. Well, yeah, it mostly is. That was the plan. But why? You didn't have to. He insisted immediately, defensively. The chilly reception didn't hamper Terry whatsoever. Perhaps she took him for being shy in spotlight. She wandered away and hit the music, setting it to a lovely tune with a gentle pace. A nice enough song could smooth out any of the bumps. Baxter remained defiant, waiting motionally for a response to what he said. He couldn't and wouldn't accept the situation. Under that kind of pressure, Miranda glanced at the floor. Cove stupidly turned from Baxter to look at you for guidance. I see. That was enough of a hint for all to be clear. You're the planner for this party. Of course, that's how it happened, was what you read in his expression. Baxter no longer traded stares among the crowd. He didn't see anyone else in the room except for you. You deserve some things. Taking a breath through his nose and curled his ring fingers into a fist. He had to take the initiative this time. For the second time that night, you approached Baxter, then he offered him your hand. You had this dance, Mr. Ward? The crease in his brows cracked. Baxter's hardened expression, it was frustrating and wonderful to him. You had your suspicions on why he struggled with the gesture. Delicately and still, without another word, he accepted for the moment. Baxter could let go of his concerns by holding on to you. Hand in hand, you walked into the center of the lit-up floor. The room was so quiet that she could make out bits of the conversation the others were having. Terry offered to dance with either Randy or Cove. Both of them refused with varying degrees of nervousness. Terry could only laugh. An extrovert among introverts to the end. That meant you had the whole space to yourselves. Though first you could only prompt Baxter into swaying in place. By time encouragement, the dance moved onward until Baxter swept around the room with you like a pro he was. He flowed along with the steps effortlessly. When the song ended, the enchantment both of you were under vanished. Baxter saw himself enough to speak to you. So, he murmured pleasantries a hair's breadth away from your face. Was birthday party a success? Everyone had a great time, especially Miranda. Baxter's lip quirked. It must have been a relief to know for certain that nothing fell apart once he made his retreat. Thank you for everything. My pleasure. And playful lit ran in his tone. Before I forget to mention, I'm thrilled to attend another summer soiree with you. Me too. His eyes closed and placed 1 foot back, only for a second. He felt better at that and brought back in line with his other leg. I'm not lying when I say this is one of the grandest occasions I've attended. Confessed by men wearing a $2 feather boa and sitting in a final remnants of a birthday party thrown together in 2 days. That scene had to be a far cry from the formal events he'd attended throughout his life before coming to Sunset Bird. Yet you didn't doubt the earnestness of his words for a second. Much if I did not give that impression initially. I hate to be a brother, and you went to so much trouble it nearly forgotten you hadn't let go of each other after the dance until Baxter's gripped around your hand tightened. It doesn't matter now. The effort is sincerely appreciated. In a way, Terry had been right. Even Baxter Ward could be bashful in certain regards. That was okay. You were just glad he enjoyed himself in the end. Come on, we gotta get him kisses. Come on. You were sleepy and relieved. You could finally be happy with your charming suitor. Except the affection redly this time, pressing into you sweetly. Thank you for inviting me to your party, Beanie. His eyes were still dancing, even as his feet had stopped, but his words carried the weight of formality with them. There was a joy he found in the fleetingness of it all. Just like this might be our last big party with Terry, Miranda, and Cove, it could very well be the first and final time for Baxter, too. He accepted that as a certainty. Baxter was always so ready to leave, with parties and the town on the whole. Treated everything that came his way as temporary, to merely be embraced while he could, and then to freely release. Even though you knew that, even if he never done anything differently, you hoped he would keep having reason to return as long as you reached out to him. Done. We're done with the Baxter DLC. Now we have all these to do. And on that note, I am ending. I did it. I'm done. I'm gonna have to start this early in the day so I can get like 2 of them done. I'm gonna need a lot of water when I do that. My god, it's a lot of talking. Alrighty. See ya, zombie. Have a good night. And I shall see you all tomorrow.